Are we ready? Really?
Well, I don't know. We'll find out shortly. We're as ready as we're going to be. Let's put it that way since it is now 7 o'clock. Let's see. I think I need to. Somehow your camera got jacked up. I mean, you're fine on your end. I got to increase the lighting on mine. Okay.
Well, I moved around a little bit, moved my setup a little bit. The wife was getting mad. She said I hijacked her desk. You know, she's like, "You got to do this Bozer watch from somewhere else. Can you go outside on the back deck or something?" And I said, "No, honey, I can't do that. I am the
What
man of
if
the
it's
house.
rain? Yes. Oh,
I
I
am
was going to say
claiming
what
this."
if it's raining, but you're going to try to throw testosterone in it.
And and you know my wife, she said, you're right. You are the man of the house. As, the submissive person that she is and all.
Right. Yeah, I believe that for a flat second. Speaking of man of the house, while we're sitting here just kind of jibber jabbering and the live viewership numbers are starting to climb, we got about 18 people. Did you see the deal? Now, I haven't, full disclosure, I haven't watched it yet, but apparently Tucker Carlson was taking a low-powered laser to his testicles. Well, I don't know if he actually did that on Fox News or whatever, but apparently he had some guest on and they were talking about this, and now that's kind of the talk
Okay,
of the
wait a
internet.
minute. Have we delineated whether we're a family show or not yet before we have this conversation?
Well, considering some of the things that we've talked about, I'm not so sure we would classify ourselves as completely family friendly. It depends on the family. If it's like the Kardashians or something, yeah, we're family friendly.
we, I don't know that I want to be described. I mean, I'm okay with somebody saying we're akin to CNN. I mean, okay, I can take that. But Kardashians, really? That's
Well,
like
I,
fake
you know,
TV.
well, it's drama. Look, there's drama everywhere, whether it's our city council, whether it's the Cypress District, whether it's the police jury. And look, we got a deal here tonight, this last topic, which I need to put on its own nice little line down there. Um, we
Oh,
got to talk.
Bossier
Yeah,
City Council.
well, the council, yeah, and also the classrooms. I mean, apparently there's drama going on in a Benton classroom.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, man, yeah, I saw that. That's some stuff heating up, boy. Not the teachers are wound up, parents are wound up. It's
Yeah.
it's kind of cooking out there.
Hey, before we go to the countdown, we've got a comment from Dennis Flowers. He says, "When is the dodgeball game at the new park?" Good question. I would love to play dodgeball with some of the politicians and some of the folks around here.
Yeah, I would as well too. I mean, look, if he's talking about the Bossier Tinsley ball field thing, I got a really great question for that. They did all these upgrades, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I've been to a couple of ball games over the span of a couple of weeks. And interestingly, did you know that they rent, motorhome spaces out there
Really?
for supposedly just for the tournaments?
Well, I had
Did you
no
know
idea.
that?
No, I had no idea.
Well, yeah, apparently they do. And so over the course of a couple of weeks, I've been to a couple of ball games out there, and I've noticed a motorhome, you know, in sitting in the same space out there on weekday games over the span of a couple of weeks.
Hmm. So it's like they rented the space on a weekly or monthly basis or something?
Well, apparently you can because I haven't seen this motorhome move out there. I don't know what the status is, but if you guys have a motorhome and you want to go stay at Tinsley Ball Field,
Hmm.
by all means. I think they've even got restrooms out there because it has been out there. It may not be there tomorrow, but it has been.
Well, that puts them right in competition with the infamous or famous Cypress Park and RV. All right. So we got about 30 something people watching, maybe a little more than that. Let's go ahead and do our countdown. That gives us and those of you viewing, we ask you to also do the same. If you're in any Facebook groups, or just share it out to your own timeline, or share it out to some groups you might be in that might be interested in watching Bossier Watch. Grab you a stiff drink, get some popcorn. We'll be back in about 2.5 or 3 minutes, and we are going to get started going down that list of topics, wherever they are. Anyway, all right, fire in the hole. Here goes the countdown somewhere, if I can find the button. Here we go.
They feel helpless, they don't feel heard, they have nowhere to turn.
In all honesty, we try to lay low a little bit because of the fear that we would not be able to camp there.
And I titled it "A Shot Across the Bow of the Good Old Boys."
Hello, everybody. I don't think I've ever done a video before on here, but yeah, I wanted to tell y'all what frustrates me a little bit about permits.
Cockroach of the week is, drumroll please, Allie Feaster Smith.
We can't be apathetic about what's going on in our state. We have to all pull up our bootstraps and get on top of this. So you're right. There's a problem out there. I mean, and man, you can see it everywhere.
Well, look, we have allowed government to become our wherewithal to everything.
Well, I've not heard my name in stable or Baton Rouge in stable in the same sentence in a long time.
You're about to be killed by a Zamboni, or you're gonna die in 5 minutes!
This Bossier Watch live broadcast is brought to you by Eagle Truck Center, soaring to new heights. The Outdoor News, fishing and outdoors for our area. Acadiana Mortgage, over 23 years in the mortgage business. Smarter Geek, making technology easier. And the many supporters, donations, and folks sharing information and watching out for Bossier. Now, grab your popcorn and a drink. Here we go. Yes, speaking of on-go, we have lots of topics that are ongoing around this town.
Now, yeah, there's a lot going on. In fact, there are things, I mean, from Benton to South Bossier. Hey, did you see, when we had I don't know if it was tornado or what, but did you see all the South Bossier folks, rise up to the task and
Yes.
go down there and help folks that, they got their houses damaged and such?
Yeah, there were lots of folks helping out and lots of folks some people who work for SWEPCO, and I'm not defending SWEPCO, but, trying to give folks updates, people that, or I guess linemen or whatever, employee types, and trying to give people updates and letting everybody know what's going on. So, yeah, in spite of the bad stuff, there was a little bit of good stuff going on with that. But, sorry to the folks that had their homes damaged and all that too.
Yeah, there was. I saw some of our councilmen down there getting their sweat on. I could appreciate that. It's fun watching them sweat a little bit.
actually rolling up their sleeves. Speaking of, well, I didn't even know where I was going to go with that, so I'm going to jump right over into Easter. And so we're going to show at some point in the show the significance of having the Easter Bunny in our little calendar event listing. Did you notice that on the little, scheduled post or whatever, the little graphic there I put the Easter Bunny in there.
How could I miss that? This is an episode of the Stupid Show returns here, right? So we got to have the Easter Bunny.
So
no, we're not talking about Biden being escorted off of the lawn by the Easter Bunny. We're talking about real life Easter bunnies here in Louisiana, right?
Yeah, a real life Easter bunny. And, well, again, there is some significance to that, so we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Hey, something else that was mentioned to me by somebody that lives up on Cypress Lake. I don't remember I don't think I've ever been to it, but did Cypress Park out there used to have like Easter egg hunts or have the park open and all that where folks could go like Easter egg hunt? Do you remember any of that?
Well, I don't know about the Easter egg hunt, but I do remember a time when the Cypress Park was open to the public. Yeah, I do remember that.
Well, I was gonna get some pictures of it, and I just hadn't done it yet. So maybe by saying this on the show, something will get taken care of. But have you seen the beach out there lately?
Well, come to think of it, I haven't been to the beach in a while. I mean, I just haven't. In fact, okay, we're going to take a walk down memory lane. I think the last time I've been to the beach was 1988, and it was
Wow.
senior skip day, and a lot of people from Halton were all out there at the beach, and all I can remember was General Jane and somebody else, because she was the principal of Halton, standing up on the beach pointing at all of the seniors that were skipping out there at the beach that day. And lo and behold, since you said this is somewhat of a Kardashian type show, I'll go ahead and put this out here. And to those of you that would be offended, cover your ears. All of a sudden, somebody dropped their shorts to General Jane. Now, General Jane, I know you're watching and you probably remember that, but I'm just saying, I mean, it was
funny.
a full moon in the middle of the day out there. It wasn't me. It was not me.
Wasn't
I
me,
do know,
wasn't me.
I do know who it was if they want to bring charges. I mean,
That- Yeah, well, maybe the statute of limitations for a full moon is passed
wait a
by.
minute. Wait a minute. That was not your question, was it?
No, that was we went from Easter bunnies to beaches to full moons and General Jane. That's quite the circle we went around. But
You
well,
know we compete against Tucker Carlson, and you're plugging Tucker Carlson for using lasers on his genitals. I mean,
well, we got to look. We got to do
Senior
something.
Script Day from Halton in 1988 is pertinent to this subject matter.
Well, probably so. I would argue there was a lot more testosterone going around back then, and that leads us to, well, it's kind of a segue to the Benton classroom deal, but I'll talk about that when I get on my soapbox later in the show. But back to the Cypress Beach.
Now,
Okay.
wait a minute. Whoa, you got to hold up. We got some comments going here, and this is priceless. The general has chimed in.
Let's put that
And
up
she's
there.
right.
And you still graduated somehow. I'm not, Miss Jane, I'm really not sure how he graduated, but,
Oh,
you know.
Rex, I can tell you, they were grading me on the quantity of fish that I caught. Dorcheap Bayou and Bistineau, you could not catch another fish. Me and Brian Boyette hammered them down there back then.
Well, what's funny, I may have told this story before. I'll keep it real brief, and then we'll actually kind of get back on our topic or whatever. But in high school, I had Miss Hilda Taylor Parrott, who was a former mayor of Ruston, by the way. She was my English literature teacher right after lunch. And I am not a fan of Shakespeare. Never have been. I mean, I used to read a lot, but Shakespeare just is not my thing. And so it was, no offense to Miss Hilda, but it was boring, especially after lunch, just eating. It was nap time for me. And I usually made straight A's anyway. So I worked out a deal with Miss Hilda because I usually had my dad's bass boat hooked up behind my truck. Because after school, me and a couple of friends were always going to the lake, and so I would kind of just skip that class, and as long as I brought some fish back for her a couple of times a week, she would just kind of look the other way, and she wouldn't give me an A, but maybe a B plus or whatever. Anyway, so we had a pretty good deal going there, so yeah, I can appreciate that. All right, but circling back to the Cypress Beach, I don't know how we got off on those tangents. It's come to my attention, and I actually saw this the other day. Apparently, you could graze some cattle out there on the beach. Has anybody seen that? Anybody watching that lives up on Cypress?
Oh, good grief. I haven't seen it. I don't go over there. It's all I can do to watch my seawall fall into the lake, from the boats blowing by here, ignoring the no wake buoys because there's no enforcement out here.
Right.
So no, I don't go over there and see that. But I believe it. Do we have some pictures? Has anybody sent any? Or
I don't think we've got any pictures yet. I may dig through the archives and see if I can find one. But anyway, I just thought that was kind of interesting and sad. And, we talk about of course, we talk about the Cypress District all the time. But literally, like, the grass is growing pretty good out there on the beach. So maybe they're going to change it over to, a cow pasture or something, and maybe not even use the beach this year. Who knows? All right.
Well, that brings to mind the word of the week.
The word of the week, is it like Taco Tuesday?
Well, yeah, look, and I may butcher this, and again, since I'm from Halton, I mean, that gives you a pass. You can butcher things. So, eidetic. I think that's how you pronounce it. Eidetic.
Wait, what?
Eidetic.
Are you
And
saying I get it?
no, 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 no. Eidetic. And Miss
E-I-D-E.
Miss Jane may
Oh,
correct
okay.
may correct me there on my pronunciation, but that means relating to or denoting mental images having unusual vividness and detail as if actually visible.
Like a
So,
photographic memory.
that's right. So, you know, based on what you're saying, I have this eidetic visualization of the grass growing at the beach on
Really?
Cypress. I
Really?
do. Yes, I do.
Is that because it was growing back during the full moon days, or?
It was not growing back then. In fact, it was a nice beach, and I think almost the whole senior class was there.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
But we still passed.
Yeah. So, anyway, I just thought I would bring that up. I'm probably going to go fishing up there before too long. I may take some pictures or shoot a little video or whatever, and just show the progress of the park.
Now, Rex, we just had Easter weekend, and I don't know about you, but I saw all over social media, I saw all friends and families, and everybody had all these Easter photos. And let me check in here. We got the hotline going. People, oh, wait a minute. Would you believe we ask and we receive?
Yes. Let's see.
I have an image of the Cypress Beach.
Well, I was going to
drop-
say you're not the only one, because magically I got one too.
Oh, well, go ahead on with it. Since we're on the Cypress Beach and where the grass,
Yeah,
Renee Hall. Imagine
yeah.
that.
Well, she kind of lives over there. Has a nice view of the beach out there. Hold on a second. Let me drag this picture in, and we'll take a quick look here. Let me get this set up, and let me hit there. And well, I don't know. Maybe not cows. Maybe goats.
Well, I got to tell you, they definitely have to weed eat, and that is pretty sad considering, if you've ever in your lifetime spent some time out there at that beach. That right there's got to turn your stomach a little bit.
Yeah, I know. And District 3 police juror Philip Rogers took a bunch of sand out there several years ago. I'm not really sure what year it was. Seems like it was the 2014, 2015, 2016 time frame. I don't know. But anyway, and was gracious enough to rebuild the beach or help redo it. I think he took maybe a traco or something out there. But anyway, maybe Philip's going to have to bring some more sand. I mean, that looks sad. It's not how I remember the beach. I mean, look, it is just April 19th. It's still too cool to go swimming, but I don't know.
Well, that right there is horrible. That might be the worst that I ever recall. Now, like I said, the last time I've been over there was 1988, but I can tell you back in the 80s, it didn't look anything like that. I mean, it was a nice beach back then. If Philip Rogers is going to bring sand and that's what it's going to end up looking like, I mean, doesn't sound like they got a very good deal regardless of what it costs.
Well, I don't want to necessarily, like I said, I know it was at least a few years ago when that happened. And I remember hearing it in some of the meeting audio as I was listening to it and all that, and some of the meeting minutes. So I can't remember. Like I said, I think it was 2015, 2016, but I don't know. It just looks sad. So maybe they'll do something about it. All right. Enough about Cypress District. Let's move on to some other topics. The stuff we actually have in our list.
Well, again, we were talking about Easter weekend, and
Right.
you've seen on social media. I mean, look, even my family, we posted a family picture for Easter. I mean, it's kind of the thing to do, and I mean, I enjoyed seeing everybody's families. We get a break from all the hustle and bustle on things. But I got to tell you, there was one image of old Peter Cottontail that came hopping down the trail sent my way that I got to tell you, it just kind of got my dander up just a little bit.
Well, let's see. I still don't have us a drum roll sound effect, but I guess that really doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and hit that button and hit that button. And oh, well, hey, looky there. That's John Bell Edwards. And he's with Peter Cottontail. Well, that's cool.
There's the
Celebrating
governor,
Easter.
and he's got Peter Cottontail there.
Yeah, and looks like, honestly, I don't know his wife's first name, but let's just say Mrs. John Bell, or the First Lady, or whatever the official title is for the state of Louisiana, for the wife of the governor.
She has a lovely hat. I
Yeah.
mean, foots the bill. I mean, not a bad picture.
Yeah. And hey, with all the precautions taken, we've received this picture, and the children are pixelated, so nobody can accuse us of exploiting children or anything like that. And I don't know who that is in the back, but they're pixelated too. Let me scroll up a little bit, see if we can kind of figure out who that is in the back that's pixelated. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, somebody looks familiar back there.
That does look like somebody from here. How does somebody, a legislative assistant who is one of the most conservative people, and how do they get in a picture with the Democrat governor who is said to be maybe liberal, or maybe, I mean, I don't understand that. How does that happen?
I'm just amazed. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, if you or I went down there and took a picture with John Bell, I mean, this isn't like, you're at a meeting and it's the kissing babies and shaking hands, or shaking babies and kissing hands deal, and somebody snaps a picture. I mean, this is a set up photo.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a personal deal. I mean, you got the rabbit right there between you, and I don't get it. So 1 week you're working with and for the biggest opponent of the Democrat governor, and the next week you're taking pictures with the Democrat governor. So maybe it isn't about your politics. Maybe it's about your wallet. I mean, what's going on here? I don't know. Maybe are we soliciting to work for John Bell Edwards now? Is AFS Consulting going Democrat?
I don't know. I mean, if I were still back in the days of things that I used to do with campaigns, that could definitely be weaponized. But look, let's give her credit where credit's due. I mean, if the governor said, "Hey, would you like to go take an Easter bunny photo with us?" Would you do that, Duke? I mean, honestly, I'm being a little coy, but
I don't know. Maybe I'd have to think about it. No, was it Edwin Edwards? Yeah, I would have. But Edwin Edwards was before my time.
Well, here's the deal.
I don't know that okay, you're right. Let me pose it back at you. If John Bell Edwards wanted to come on the show and talk shop with us, would we? Oh, that's a stupid question. Yeah, we'd have him on.
Sure,
Yeah,
because he's the governor. But am I going to go take an Easter bunny picture with him? Hell no. And you want to know why? If he wanted to come on the show and wanted to discuss topics and take questions, I'm absolutely for that. He's the sitting governor, and we're looking out for Bossier Parish and all that sort of thing. But as far as taking a personal Easter bunny picture with him, no, because I'm never going to be friends with him. Look, he vetoed the constitutional carry legislation. That's it. That means if we're at a meeting, I'm not going to walk up to him and shake his hand and play nice. Just not. Because he's on the complete opposite side of the fence of a lot of the things that I believe in and stand for. So he is the governor. I would have a little bit of respect for that, respect for the office. But no, I wouldn't go take any Easter bunny pictures.
Well, maybe they were just hunting for eggs and bumped into each other and said, "Hey, let's take a picture with the bunny. What do you think?"
Yeah, let's all get in our pose. We'll take our time to get it done. Whatever.
Who knows? Anyway,
I can just tell you, if either one of us took a picture with John Bell and the Easter bunny, we would be excoriated by certain folks in the Republican Party and conservatives.
Her and all her friends.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
so I can say in all honesty, if we were down there in some kind of political, dog and pony show, and he asked Did I want to go take a picture with him and his family and the Easter Bunny? The answer would be not a chance, not happening.
Murray Arnold says, cue ball Edwards?
Yeah. Y'all are watching Bossier Watch. You thought you were going to get some exciting drama from Bossier, and here we've taken you down there and visiting with John Bell Edwards.
Okay, it looks like John K. has weighed in as well, too, taking a shot at my hat, saying the William Byron hat. Obviously, he is unaware that, the Intimidator told his son, look, follow that guy around the track. He knows how to get there to the winner's circle. So for John K., I know you can't relate, but what I will say is it's the same thing that, what's that guy over there in Dallas told his players, look, y'all watch the Saints, you'll see how to do it. Something like that. Follow it to the winner's circle.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So, enough about that. Well, I guess. So let me cross this one off of our list of topics here, unless you want to beat up on the Easter Bunny some more.
I'm done with the bunny. I mean, look, he's escorting, the president off the field. I mean, he's down there with John Bell. I mean, I got to tell you, I'm developing a problem with the Easter Bunny because it seems he's hanging out with all the Democrat people. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. Poor Easter Bunny. So, all right. So that covers that. Now, what's our next topic? We're going to talk about this Benton, if I can talk, Benton Middle School heating up situation.
General Jane is going to love this one, and she's going to agree with it. I can dig it. She's going to agree with it, and there's going to be a lot of people may be throwing stuff at the end of this little part when we dive off into this, but if you're not following what's been going on in Bossier, I don't know, maybe you've been living under a rock a little bit, but apparently we had another incident at a Bossier school, and it showed up on, that no good social media.
Yes, Facebook. Well, and not just Facebook, but showed up in the Benton Town Happenings group, which is even more infamous than you and I are for all sorts of drama. I can't believe they got off the Sonic topic long enough to talk about some school stuff.
Oh, yeah. Well, so this guy, Jonathan Parker, and I'm assuming it's a guy. In fact, I don't know if it's even a real person or not. I think it's a fake profile.
That could be.
But the only reason I come to that conclusion is a lot of people were saying, oh, this is a fake profile.
Well, a lot of people were saying that, I'll scroll down the comments here in just a second, but a lot of people were wondering if it was actually true. Let me readjust this screen here just a little bit. And so let me kind of read this off for those of you listening once we actually release a podcast, or those of you on your phones and it's a little too small. The post says, update. Well, the teacher was a Spanish teacher. She has been reprimanded for her actions. The day of the incident, she turned up the heat and temperatures reached 100 degrees in the classroom, I guess. She made them do push-ups. It got so hot, some kids were undressing. She covers, see more, I guess. Okay, hold on. She covered the door windows with paper and placed a chair to block opening the door. By golly, you kids are going to exercise. Her actions are child abuse and should be investigated.
Now, were they counting votes for the renewals for the Bossier Parish school system? They covered the windows? Was that what they were doing? Was this a Democrat operation here?
I don't know. This is insanity. Let me see if I can get. I don't know how many comments. 364 comments, which obviously we're not going to cover them all tonight, but I'm going to try everything I can, Duke, to stay off of my soapbox about this. But the big thing to me was, at first, there were some doubters that this was even true.
So a lot of folks said, oh, I don't believe anything that comes from a fake profile, blah, blah, blah. Well, it may be a fake profile, but whether or not there was an incident, whether or not this actually happened or not, we're going to clear that air real quick and get to the heart of that. But
Yeah, well, and
Right.
let me pick out a couple of random comments here. So I'm not picking on any one individual, but here's one from Leah Brown. She says, "Literally, my husband doesn't believe it, and just said the same thing." Let's see. Somebody said, "Hey, you could have pitched your window tinting company." Let's see what else. So yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh no, you weren't interrupting me. I was shotgunning a chip, so my wife will have something to gripe at me about tonight because you know how
Oh,
she is about me eating while we're in the middle of a show. It's unprofessional, but then I always say we are amateur journalists, so we don't know to not
yes.
do stupid things like that, right?
Amateur journalists, pundits.
Well, look,
You know.
David Tyree makes a good point. He says, "How would there be a room that has 100-degree temperature?" Well,
Well, that's fair point.
fair point, but here's the thing. I don't freaking believe that because I remember at one point us doing a deep dive on the school system and kind of we were talking about some money and budgets and stuff. And I'm pretty sure we did it in a show, but oh, wait a minute, right there. Shannon Kerr Nugent, school thermostats have controlled settings. Yeah, because at some point the school board and the superintendents decided that they were all going to be controlled, that nobody could just adjust them up and down. They're all preset. Remember that?
And she says a classroom is never that hot, even when the AC is down. Maintenance is amazing and comes immediately when there is a problem. And in full disclosure, I know Shannon and her husband Shane pretty well, and she is a teacher at Benton Middle School, so she should know.
So in essence, how could this teacher have turned the heat up, in the first place to make it a sauna? So that's not true. There's no way they could have.
Even if she did, I mean, come on. So, well, I guess
Yeah.
we'll get to the official response here in a minute.
We can go there, even if she did. I mean, look, okay, wait a minute. Next thing I know, we're going to be condoning child torture or some crap like that or whatever. I mean, look, General Jane can attest. We didn't have freaking air conditioning in. I mean, look, I can remember Mr. Burson's typing class at Halton having all the dadgum windows open because it was so freaking hot. And one day, him grabbing a typewriter and throwing it out the window because he was so mad at, I think it was, I don't know, I could say some name in the class, but
Now, wait a minute. We also have some speculation here, folks. The Spanish teacher, and she put tape over their mouth. Now, again, we have no confirmation of that, but you can go over to the Facebook group and read this if you want. Maybe some of the kids were actually, embellishing their story to their parents a little bit. I don't know.
and kids will do that. But look, it comes back to, I mean, look, it goes back to why General Jane showed up at the Cypress Park that day. Look, you've got to have discipline. And look, I'll acknowledge, I think back in those days, Rex, you had discipline in the classroom. Look, I'm going to go back even further. Harold Harlan, like at Halton, there were guys that they were dipping. That was a big thing back then. And if they
Right.
spit on the concrete, he'd have them out there cleaning the dadgum concrete for the whole day, take them out of all their classes,
Yeah.
have them cleaning the concrete of the whole school the whole day.
Yeah,
If
deservedly
if
so.
if somebody did that today, you'd have something like this right here going on.
Well, look, I can tell you, and I may have told this story before, but I was generally like the ideal student. I loved school. I loved going to class, except my English lit class. And so I rarely got into trouble. Like if I got into trouble, it was a huge ordeal. But I did get 2 spankings from the principal. One was the principal, the other was the assistant principal. And one in elementary school in Haynesville, Louisiana, and one at Lee Junior High, as I went there for a little bit, in Monroe, as a matter of fact, before we moved to Ruston. But long story made short, when I was in elementary school, the principal was a guy named Nathan Prestige. He was the dad of a classmate and good friend of mine. We all played, Dixie baseball together and all that sort of thing. Anyway, we got in trouble, Nathan and I both did, for arguing with a teacher. We got sent down to the principal's office, to Nathan's dad's office, and he told Nathan straight up, "You're getting licks no matter what." And he looked at me, he said, "Rex," he said, I'll give you a choice. I can either call your mama or you can take the licks. Oh, no, you ain't calling my mama and telling her I got in trouble in school. I'll take the licks. And he pulled out this paddle, and like he had holes drilled in it for aerodynamics, and had remember the old round thumbtack metal push thumbtacks? Yeah. He had those pushed in, not where the pointy side would hit us, but where it had, you know, a nice metal side to it. And that's what we got our licks with. And we both took our licks, and we had to go back to class and be nice to the teacher. And I don't know if I ever told my mother that story. If she's watching now, she knows.
Well, this whole story and that right there, Rex, I mean, I'm wondering, I'm going to guess the majority of our audience are, you know, been around a while. They remember the days when there was discipline in schools. And I'm going to guess that the majority of folks were public school kids. I mean, how many of all of you experienced or had a fear of discipline while you were in school? And I'm wondering, in your opinion, if the same discipline that you experienced or you saw back then, if that were to be implemented today, I mean, do you think you would see outrage like this?
Well, it'd be labeled as child abuse. I can tell one other quick story with my boys. So, you know, we've got twin boys, and they were going to Waller Elementary. Make a long story short, I think it was Michael. One of them, I think it was Michael. Anyway, usually it was. He was acting up. Principal calls Gina, says, you know, Michael's acting up. Gina's like, well, whip him. Oh, we don't do corporal punishment here. But you as the parent can. Gina said, I'll be right there. We like literally lived a block away. So Gina jumped in the car, drove around there, checked Michael out of school, whipped his rear end in the car, and sent him back in there while he's probably still crying. Now, don't do that again, boy. I would argue, and look, I know teachers and folks can take that too far, but we have a complete lack of discipline. And I'm not saying that the case here was a complete lack of discipline in this class. Obviously, we weren't in the class. It was the substitute teacher and the kids. But something triggered this teacher to, oh my goodness, maybe turn the air conditioner off and force them to do some sweating to the oldies, you know, Richard Simmons style exercise. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, and I look, I articulated this in the past, and I still believe it now. I don't believe there's enough control in the classrooms. You know, do you have bad teachers? Yeah, you do have bad teachers come in, but I think the teachers don't have control of the class, and I think some more, you know, rules and things need to be put in place to enable the teachers to be able to control their classes. Does that mean enable them to be able to turn the temperature up to 120 degrees to torture kids? No, that's not at all. But if there is a discipline problem, I don't know what the solution is, but I stand with the teachers on this. Disruptions in the class, and, you know, now, well, I don't know what the answer is, but
I'll tell you what the answer is, but it might lose us some viewers or get some people ticked off. My mom is watching, and she just commented, said, yes, you did, because the school called me. I took care of you at home also. So apparently she remembers that. And I'll say, you know, like I said, Haynesville's back then was small town, about 3,000 people. Everybody knew everybody, so there's no way to hide any of that anyway. So let me give you my opinion real quick, and then we'll move on. Let me bring these screens back up. Well, dadgummit, hold on. So we may be too far gone to fix the problem, and here's what I mean by that. Unfortunately, and again, I know there are exceptions and people take discipline too far, but there is a line between discipline and abuse, and we all know, most of us do, what that line is. You know, I would never abuse my kids or anybody else's kids, but, you know, my boys do have calluses on their butts. You know, and I say that only kind of half jokingly because, you know, you've got to have some authority, and unfortunately, and I say we because it's collectively all of us, this didn't just magically happen. We can't really blame it on the politicians. We have collectively taken the authority, you're right, Duke, out of the classroom. And once you take the authority out of stuff, chaos will ensue eventually. And that's what we see a lot of times in these classrooms.
And it also, yeah, it goes to, look, you know how all the outrage on Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Remember all that?
Oh,
I
yeah.
just sent you a stat before the start of this show that once you had all that starting, now you've had more Black lives murdered per the FBI and their crime statistics than you have in the years previous. But I want to take a step back further. That right there is going to infuriate some people, because I remember there were a bunch of people that were all, look, they were bashing me because I was against this Black Lives Matter stuff, and the defund the cops crap. And I knew it was wrong, but
Right.
oh, you're the racist, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. And oh, guess what? Lo and behold, the statistics show and prove that that was the wrong thing to do. And as a result of all the people advocating for all of that, now you've had more loss of life as a result of that. And particularly in the communities you were saying that you needed to have this this happen to protect. But back to the public school thing, you're right. Are we too far gone?
Yeah.
I would argue, and this is going to make even more people mad, but look, when have we stopped about ever worrying about making people mad? If we as a society have come to the point to where we won't allow teachers or education system to control and discipline the classrooms, and administrations are to the point that they can't hold bad teachers accountable because of the teachers union, they're in a no-win situation. So I would propose, and a lot of people are going to get mad at me here, I would propose, are we at the end of the public school model as the method of education, or the best method of education for kids in our country?
Well, look, with the rise of homeschooling, and I hate to say it, but even the whole stupid COVID pandemic situation, our country country's always changing, but I would say some of the attitudes on public schools definitely have changed, and I'm not sure that we can rewind this clock that we've got ourselves in.
Well, because
it's taken generations to change it, to get it to where we are now with what seems to be a major lack of discipline in the classrooms.
And the teachers can't do it.
They can't do it, and it would take generations to change it back. And here's the problem, Duke. You can't really blame the kids, because kids are doing what kids are going to do. You know whose fault it is? It's the parents. It's our generation and the generation right below ours and below them that are raising these kids that are in class now. Now, that's a dirty little secret nobody wants to talk about.
Well, I'll talk about it up in my camp, and that ain't a problem in my camp. If it is, I want to know, and I'm going to handle up. It ain't going to happen.
Yeah.
But I am just saying, the public school system, I don't know if they're having enough introspection and thought on this. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But, I guess I'm on statistics tonight. Another statistic, homeschooling in the most recent years has increased more so ever than, except for in the founding of the country, but we didn't have the population then,
Right.
but more so in the last couple of years than ever before. And it was cited, it was because of the COVID mandates and all of that. I mean, and arguably you had the public school institutions really deferring to not having class, not having school, and kids staying home. And so you're leaving the parents with they're already having the kids. Well, why don't I teach them anyway?
Yeah, you're right.
I don't know.
Again, there is a definite shift. Some of it's related to COVID. The homeschooling was on the rise, some before COVID, but I think the graph has kicked up several notches with COVID. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. It's just, I don't know. It's a mess.
Well,
but we had a question about, or had a comment. Let me scroll back up and find it real quick. What is the truth? Let me throw this up there. What is the truth in Benton? Similar story from Christian school in South Louisiana where the kids' mouths were taped. Social media blew that story far from the truth. So we do have the official response from the head cheerleader in chief of the Bossier Parish School Board that we'll show here in just a second whenever you're ready, Duke.
And she would know. So we were following this a little bit, and you know, it was some question about the legitimacy of the person who made the post. We reached out to that person and we got no response whatsoever. So we shot an email off to Sonia Bales, and who we affectionately call the cheerleader in chief. She has coined us as troublemakers in the past, but we don't hold that against her.
No, not much. I mean, we are admittedly troublemakers. I don't know if she admits she's a cheerleader, but it's what she gets paid to do. But anyway, so
I didn't take offense to it myself.
No, I didn't either. I've been called a lot worse.
I think those murals are cool down there that Tommy Chandler demanded that they paint.
Yeah. So the email to Sonia was, can you confirm if in fact an incident did occur where a teacher is rumored to have disciplined kids by, quote, turning the heat up, making them do push-ups, locking the doors at Benton Middle School. Now, I just got to interject here for a second. And I promised I'm not going to get on my soapbox, and I'm trying desperately.
You're already on your soapbox. When have you gotten off of it?
But, I mean, think about this for a second. There are far worse things than shutting the door or locking the door to the classroom, which, correct me if I'm wrong, most of the classroom doors are locked these days anyhow. And making some kids exercise. I mean, we see the stats all the time that our kids and our general population here in the United States especially, but in the West in general, a lot of our kids are, let's face it, overweight anyway. So what's a little exercise going to hurt? You know, we used to have this thing called PE and recess, but I don't know. All right. So anyway, I'm jumping off my soapbox. We have tried to contact the person who is said to have started the rumor, but as of this moment, and that was about 11 o'clock this morning, unable to get a response. Either way, we intend to have some dialogue on the show tonight. So that was the official email to Sonia Bales, the official spokesperson and cheerleader-in-chief for the Bossier Parish School Board. And to her credit, she did respond back just a couple of hours after that email. Let me get this here, and I know it may be a little small for folks to read. So Sonia says, good afternoon. I can't read this in Sonia's voice, sorry. The alleged incident being referenced involved the alleged incident being referenced. And so by her acknowledging that there was something there, I think we can probably pull the alleged off of it, being referenced involved a substitute teacher who was not skilled in classroom management. I would argue maybe she was. And administration. Oh, hold on. And administered calisthenics in an attempt to gain control of the class. She is no longer on the substitute roster at Bossier School. So that's it, folks. If you encourage children to do calisthenics at school now, you're out.
Wait a minute. I got this fuzzy-headed guy. Wait a minute. What's that word? Word of the day. Word of the day. I got this image in my head. Wait a minute. Where's the word of the day? Eidetic. Relating to or denoting mental images having unusual vividness or detail. What is this guy that used to do these calisthenics, you know, make all those videos back in the 80s?
Richard Simmons?
Yeah. So this teacher's got an unruly classroom, and she's got them doing Richard Simmons exercises, and people are losing their minds.
I can just see them out there beating on the door trying to get in. She's got the door locked and a chair propped up against it. More push-ups. That's just awesome. Now, look, folks, in all seriousness, well, I just can't be serious about this, but we are assuming, which is a dangerous word, that like she wasn't literally abusing the children. She wasn't closed fist punching them. But short of that, I am fine with the door being locked, which they're locked most of the time anyway. I am fine with her turning the AC off or whatever, and I am fine with her making them do push-ups, I don't know what else, some jumping jacks. I don't know. She could have stuck a bar up there and had them try to do chin-ups. God forbid some of these kids can. Middle school or not.
But Rex, this was maybe she was wrong according to policy. Maybe she was whatever. But if she's trying to, I mean, look, maybe the kids had all this built-up energy. And they needed to burn it off or whatever. I don't know.
Didn't they cancel recess?
Look, seems like I remember having a class once that was about teaching classes and subject matters, and it talked about taking breaks because people needed to burn off energy from sitting there or whatever. I can only imagine in these kids, but here you got a teacher that's taking some initiative to discipline, and I'm not taking up for because I don't know all the circumstances, but I can only think that administration, because teachers and the public is getting wound up, feels like they've got to take an action, so because of woke society. That's what I'm going to say. Woke society.
Woke society and all the Karen, no offense to people ladies actually named Karen, but all the Karens running around. And what's the one for the guys? Is it Ken? What's the name for the guys, folks? Anyway.
I mean, look, I can't remember his name. Coach Lars, like you said, the paddle with the holes all drilled in it. He used to walk around with one that was so long, and he was a big guy. He was 200-something pounds, and this daggum thing was so long, I swear he would carry it in his back pocket, and the handle of it would be up about his shoulders. That's how long it was. I mean, and I could name other in Bossier Parish. I mean, yeah, we had problems, but I don't know. I'm...
Yeah, and look, it's not like my generation, didn't do things either, But anyway, we're kind of beating a dead horse now. But the fact of the matter is something happened in that classroom. Bossier Parish School Board has acknowledged it. Apparently some calisthenics were administered because the substitute was not skilled in classroom management. Anyway.
But look, what drives management of school systems? And it's the fear of being sued. Everything. Think about it. Mask mandates, all the crap. I mean, we've already been there. I mean, they were letting John Guy steer them on everything because, you could be sued. You could be sued.
Oh, yeah. Well,
everything.
We're a litigious society. We can blame it on the lawyers and make fun of the lawyers, but you also have to have people out there filing the lawsuits. Hiring the lawyers. So, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we're too far gone. I don't know. I usually try not to be a pessimist. I usually think the glass is half full, not half empty, but sometimes I don't know. Let's see here. Let me see if we've got... David Johnson says, how about just saying parents that had a problem with it, keep your little angels at home? And again, we weren't there in the classroom, so we're getting this kind of secondhand, but apparently no kids were actually harmed in the making of this drama. So, all right. Have we beat that horse enough, or shall we?
I think we beat it to a horse. I don't know. I'm not so sure that, like you said, I mean, I don't know what the solution is. I don't know what the answer is, but you got administration hogtied. You got the teachers hogtied. It seems like the kids are winning. The parents, maybe it's the parents, maybe it's society, maybe that all they're really wanting is just overpaid babysitters.
Well,
is that what it really is, you think?
I think it is. You hit on a good point there, and I probably don't. Let me see if I can scroll and find this. Give me about 10 seconds real quick. Somebody on that same post, let me flip my screen back over there. On that same thread, and I'm just going to roll through, see if I can find it, said that, you can't ever lock the doors with kids in there. I mean, she had it like in capital letters.
I saw that, and you chimed in and corrected them.
Well, yeah, my response was pretty simple and straightforward. Well, if you can't ever lock the classroom, what are they supposed to do in an active shooter situation? Because I'm pretty sure some of the protocol is to actually lock the doors. And I think the classroom doors are locked a good part of the time anyway.
And what was amazing is a lot of this dialogue about the 100-degree temperature thing. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, look, it was hot as Africa at Halton some of the time when I went there in public school, and it was even hotter on the daggum buses.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't always had AC in the classrooms.
Yeah, I mean, and we all made it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying maybe we could have got a little bit more better education. I mean, dadgum, look at the national debt, look at our society today. Obviously, that's got to
Look
be
at the
because of
local
heat.
officials we elect in many cases.
Oh, good grief! Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. I didn't think about
So,
that. It had
anyway,
to be
so
because of the heat.
so there was the drama at Benton. It was Benton Middle School, if I remember correctly. So anyway,
Yeah, and speaking of the heat, that would explain. I mean, I'm glad that you brought that full circle because in Bossier City, obviously the heat is affecting them because did you know they're having a special meeting Thursday?
oh, well, no, except that I got an email notification earlier. But other than that, no, I would not have known. And honestly, I didn't pay attention that it was Thursday.
Now, this was not the family show. Greg Ball says Van Halen, hot for teacher, really meant it was just hot in the room.
That's hilarious.
That
All
is a
right.
good one.
So
Yeah, but Bossier City is calling a special meeting on Thursday, and in which that really caught my attention, Rex, because I'm just wondering, we can call a special meeting to pass an alcohol sales ordinance for a particular business in Bossier, but we can't call a special meeting for term limits in Bossier.
what? Wait a minute. They're calling a special meeting for alcohol sales.
Absolutely.
Why? I mean, look, first place, I drink occasionally, like once every blue moon now. So I have nothing against, alcohol sales or drinking if that's what somebody wants to do. So it's not that at all. But why do we have to have a special meeting? Why couldn't they do this like at a regular meeting?
You would think that they could, and I think maybe there's some more to this story, but still got to do a little bit more research. But it particularly pertains to, have you heard of Surge Fund? How many folks
Surge
have,
Fund.
yeah, have y'all heard of Surge Fund?
Oh,
I mean, I don't
Surge
know.
Fun. Okay.
Surge Fun, yeah. So it's this new business venture, and it's like, entertainment or what have you in Bossier.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go to the website, on the website, you start at the top and you kind of scroll down, and it looks like a lot of family, all this kind of stuff. Like, you got it up there. Scroll down it, and you see a lot of kids.
Hey, wait a minute.
That's Drew Brees. I didn't. Brett Favre. I said Brett Favre, didn't I?
Well, I don't know. You'll probably run out of the state now with torches and pitchforks. But anyway, yeah, it looks family friendly. I mean, looks like they got a bowling alley going there. I mean, they got Drew. Apparently, Drew Brees is going to be there all the time, signing autographs 24/7.
You got a kid there hitting a golf ball.
Yeah, golf simulators. Those are fun. Chef crafted menu items. At Surge Prime Bistro. Book
Got some more
parties and
kids.
corporate events. Yeah, showing lots of kids playing with blocks. Oh, look, there's a
More
birthday
kids for a
party.
birthday
Yeah.
party.
Laser tag. I haven't played laser tag in forever. That
You done it
actually
as an adult or a kid?
no, as a kid, but I'd like
Okay,
to do
well,
it as an adult.
Well, that's what I thought, because that's what I picked. You got arcades. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done arcades since I was a kid. I mean, and
Yeah.
a lot of kid stuff there, right? Laser
Strike
tag.
Force Arena. Anyway, okay, so they even have a dark ride.
Yeah, all this kid stuff or whatever. Well, keep
Are they?
scrolling.
So did they change the legal drinking age in Louisiana?
Not yet, but I'm got a feeling that, okay, wait a minute. The first thing you see on this website when you come to drinking is right there in the left corner. You see that? There's a bar.
Oh, there it is. Yeah. Okay.
So you've got apparently this business, apparently they're going to have a bar within this family, kid friendly, family oriented business type thing right here or what have you. And, okay, that's fine or what have you. But I mean, in Bossier, we're calling a special meeting to make sure that they get their liquor license so they can serve liquor at this family event thing here. And I think it was recommended by, the good Mayor Tommy Chandler on the ordinance or the resolution today or the ordinance. It was ordinance. Now, here's an interesting thing, Rex. I wouldn't normally kind of jump on this, but it came to my attention that this place is already open. And over the last 2 weekends, would it amaze you to learn that the police have had to come over there, that supposedly the business lost control of the place because of brawls,
Well,
fights, and such?
hey, here's a news flash for them. Maybe they need to hire the now fired substitute teacher from Benton Middle School.
Well,
How's that
well,
for a little reverse segue
I'm just
there?
saying, I'm just saying they've had to have the Bossier City Police respond 2 weekends in a row over there, and they don't even have liquor. And
Yeah.
if this is a kid-friendly place, and they got to have the cops there on the weekend to bust up the fights, and they don't even have liquor, what the heck you think it's going to be like once they start pouring the liquor in there?
Well, look, you know, it's like going to a Dixie youth baseball game or something. You know how the parents and coaches are at football games, but especially baseball games. But of course, they don't have liquor at those events either. Yeah, when they had liquor to the mix. Hey, Greg Bell says, are they going to have an indoor range as well? Now, Greg, if they had an indoor range, I would absolutely go. Of course, full disclosure, I would not drink and shoot at the same time.
Well, I'll go back to the whole reason that I went to this. So we call a special meeting to approve a liquor permit, license, whatever you want, for a new business that already is having to have law enforcement come over because it's out of control 2 weekends in a row. But we can't even get term limits as promised by, the mayor-elect, that he can't even call for a special meeting or press to have that or put it on an agenda or do anything. I'm just wondering, I mean, have we lost our way in Bossier City as well too?
Wait a minute, this is even better. So apparently not only are they having a special city council meeting, I am reading this letter. I just happened to scroll to this page. This is from the Bossier City Parish Metropolitan Planning Commission. And dear Mayor Chandler, at a special call meeting of the Bossier MPC held on Monday, April 11th, the commission took action on the following case, and now they're sending it to the city council. So again, same thing. So not only is the city council having a special meeting, the Bossier City Parish MPC apparently had a... Who are these people? How connected are they that they get two special meetings? And look, nothing against their business. I'll probably go check it out.
Yeah, I probably will too. But what I will say is if anybody connected to the business is by chance listening to this, that old saying of the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I think they have the number on Bossier City politics, because word has it that they've been squeaking and squeaking loudly. And, I will tell you this, I don't know that in Bossier that makes for life expectancy to be real well.
I don't know, squeaking and squawking. I'm just scrolling through this. Looks like one of the applicants is out of Monroe, blah, blah. Actually, two. All of them are. Huh. These outsiders, too. And got two special meetings.
Yeah, I'm telling you, these cats rolled up into town, and they're getting special meetings called left and right. But Tommy Chan, maybe you know what? I figured it out. We need to hire these guys to convince Tommy Chandler to do the audit that he promised, that Kaylee Larkin pointed out in the comments, as well as push for term limits that he also promised in the campaign. Maybe these guys can get something done, because they dang sure can get liquor brought into a special meeting. These may be the guys we need to get with.
Maybe so. We need to see if they're for hire for political purposes. Let's see. Again, I'm just rolling through this so you can stop me at any point. I guess they've got the plans and specs on the building or whatever. Yeah.
So
anyway,
I got to tell you, moving right along, so when this come across that they're having this meeting, this special meeting to approve the liquor sales at this family-oriented business that we see promoted on their website, there was something that you and I missed in the past, a previous council meeting, and I'll try to run through this real fast, because a lot of folks, we're probably going to lose you. You're going to go to sleep in it maybe or whatever. No, that's not the cue to leave. But we just wanted to point out a few little teeny tiny things. And you'd have to go way back to the January 11th special meeting by the Bossier City Council. And at that meeting, they Heard, McElroy, and Vestal were the ones to do the annual audit of the city or what have you. Well, in that also as well, they had included the Louisiana Compliance Questionnaire. And what that is governmental bodies have to fill out this questionnaire and answer all these questions on, different matters of law. And then the auditing firm comes in and they verify that, the governmental body or whoever is in compliance with all their, stated answers to the questions.
Okay.
The time period for this one covers January 1, 2021 to December 31 of 2021. And I don't know how we missed this, but we missed it way back when. And now I remember us talking at one point, and we shared with everybody that, we were pretty sure that the King David, he formerly worked for Heard, McElroy, and Vestal. And that may have been what we talked about, was how he, formerly worked for them, and then now the city was contracting them. Not necessarily a big deal,
Right.
I mean, but probably been a lot of years. I don't even know how long it had been. But if you move through to page 3 of the compliance questionnaire.
Let's see. So that's the official page
Well,
3.
go back to the first one right there. Scroll back up to the top real quick. You were there, right there.
Yeah. The Dear CEO.
Yeah. And so, let me find the part. See,
Test
poor
the accuracy.
citizen journalists here.
Yeah.
We should have been prepared.
Okay. Here it is. A yes answer indicates that you have complied with the applicable law or regulation. A no answer to any representation indicates a possible violation of law or regulation, and as such should be fully explained. So if they say no, they better got some splaining to do.
Yeah, the auditor will, during the course of her regular audit, test the accuracy of the responses in the questionnaire. So that's kind of the basis of it. So now jump to page 3.
Okay, so let's scroll down. Let's see. This is page 3. Test the accuracy.
Well, that was page 3. Page 5. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was PDF page 3. So now we're at PDF page 5.
And part 2, public bid law. If anybody wonders, there you go. City of Bossier acknowledging, saying, yes, we comply with public bid law. Right there.
Yep, there it is. I'm highlighting it now for us.
Now, go to part 3, Code of Ethics.
Mm-hmm.
It is true that no employee or officials have accepted anything of value, whether in the form of a service, loan, or promise from anyone that would constitute a violation of, and you see the RS code.
Right.
So, just wondering, does anybody think that any employees or any officials or anybody has gotten anything of value in the year of 2021 from Bossier City? Anyway.
Can anybody recall anything out there? Bueller?
Let's go to page 6.
All right, so rolling right along, moving right along. So now we're on page 6.
And I'm just gonna let that one hang there just for a minute. So we're not gonna necessarily go deep into that one, but we're gonna leave it there so you can stop this show or go back and you can read it yourself and come back to it. That's long enough. Go to page 7.
All right, so we're now on page 7.
All right, part 6.
I was getting the highlighter ready. I could figure that one out without even looking at the notes. We have complied with the provisions of the open meetings law provided in RS 4211 through 42-28.
Now, what did they answer to that? Did the city of Bossier say yes or no that they had complied with all the open meeting laws?
Well, they indicated yes, they have. That's interesting. What is that term for those meetings that you have when you're actually not in the meetings but decisions are made? What is the term for that? Some type of quorum. Oh, walking quorum.
Oh yeah, well, I can't. Surely they must have forgot. Surely they forgot.
Maybe that one was an accident. Maybe so.
Yeah, probably so.
And maybe the second time when they attempted to have a walking quorum, that was accidental too.
I think perhaps maybe NA would probably have been the best box to check here on this one. Just my opinion and my 2 cents.
And then do a little splaining on that. But anyway, they chose to answer yes. I wonder who filled this out. Did Jacobs fill this out?
So probably. But anyway, let's move right along to the next part there.
The fiscal
part 7
agency.
there.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, the asset management. Yeah,
asset management. Yes, that one jumps right out at me. So, if you recall, let's go back to Shed Road Crossing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, technically, that's an asset.
Yeah.
Remember, there was some question on the terminology and whether or not, by legal terms, it was an asset or was not. I think John settled. And we had some dialogue about whether it was technically, according to Louisiana law, it was or was not an asset. I'm just wondering. It says here we have maintained records of our fixed assets. Well, I would think that's a fixed asset. if you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a fine line, but not too much, actually.
Now, we've been asking a lot of questions and have made a lot of comments about the Shed Road Crossing, and there ain't a whole lot being said about that. In fact, it's almost as if everybody in Bossier City has went deaf, dumb, and stupid about the Shed Road Crossing. I mean, if anybody can completely break down what the situation is with the Shed Road Crossing, by all means, we'd love to hear it, because I've yet to hear publicly a complete explanation of the Shed Road Crossing issue.
Yeah, I mean, they're just kind of moving right along with that, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Just pretend like there was no controversy ever. All right, Let's see, what's next? Are we going to what are we at? Part 10? Revenue and expenditure restriction laws.
Yeah, so, is that right? Am I in the right place? Yeah, it is true. We have not advanced wages or salaries to employees or paid bonuses in violation of Article blah, 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 blah. And again, they check yes. I'm thinking that maybe they should have checked that NA box or something else.
Well, maybe they should have really reviewed the Louisiana Constitution's the cited statutes or statute there, and the AG opinion mentioned as well, right? Can you give us a little bit of a clue what those statutes or that AG opinion or the Louisiana Constitution deal with? Is that like wages and salaries or bonuses for?
No, I think we'll just leave all of these deals just kind of hanging right here on the points that we're highlighting. And you know what? If somebody wants to come back on it, we can come back on it and we can go a little bit further in it. I would argue that we're making the point that we have a bone of contention on every one of these yes check marks, that there may be a question on those.
That might be a little sketchy.
Maybe Hurd, McElroy, and Vestal may want to reach out to us and verify.
Yeah, or maybe they can just watch maybe they should just subscribe to the show.
Yeah, there's always that thought as well too. I could see something sneaky going on. But anyway,
Yeah.
page
All right.
9.
Page
that gets
9.
to the best thing.
Let's see. Here we go. All right. So page 9, 42 through 44. Here we go. Oh, yeah.
Minutes are taken at all meetings of the governing authority. And they said, yeah, so that means they've got minutes of every meeting.
Including
Every
those
official
meetings,
meeting.
including meetings that weren't so official, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that's the meetings we're talking about. Maybe that's the meetings that we're not supposed to know about.
Maybe so. They weren't public after all. Okay. Number 43, minutes, ordinances, resolutions, budgets, and other official proceedings of the municipalities are published in the official journal as per the listed statutes and AG opinion.
Well, that would go back to 42 because I'm not sure that all of the meeting minutes are posted and that the governing authority has kept minutes on all of their meetings.
Number 44, all official action taken by the municipality is conducted at public meetings per the listed statutes. And, well, lo and behold, I think they just answered yes to almost all of these. So, yeah, there was a yes to that as well.
Well, if, you didn't know that it was a public meeting and you didn't attend, I don't know that they could necessarily be in violation of that one.
True.
Or that they checked that one wrong. So,
but is ignorance of the law any excuse for violating the law?
I don't know that you could say that it was ignorance. Well, wait a minute. Yep, I gotta stuff those words back in my mouth. Maybe it was ignorance.
Well, it could have just been plain old stupidity. I don't know.
Shed Road, boy. So that just popped up. Wanted to weed through that just a little bit. And the current council meeting. Did y'all realize there was a council meeting today? Is anybody paying attention? There wasn't hardly anybody in the audience. Everybody seems to have forgotten. Yes, we have a council. Yes, they are taking action. Didn't see a lot of people there. Did you realize it, Rex?
Well, look, I gotta be truthful here. I didn't realize it because I didn't even watch the live stream of the council meeting. I tried, then I had to play mechanic for a little bit, and I'm definitely no mechanic. So I got to be lumped in with everybody else who was absent from that meeting. I didn't even watch the live stream of the meeting yet. I hadn't even watched it on replay yet. So, anything interesting happen at that council meeting?
There was not a lot of things interesting that happened, but what I will do is say that, maybe the hottest topic was the Bossier City Police Department. There was some activity regarding that subject. Now, we got an email and I understand there's been a little bit going on, that the police chief was abolishing positions and laying off people and all this stuff. And so we kind of delved into that a little bit, and here's the resolution that was being put forward to the council, and it was a resolution eliminating one jailer position and a communications officer position, and that they were then hiring a secretary to the police chief. That in fact was happening, and so we reached out to the police chief to verify what exactly was going on. And I'll put it to you like this. The question was, okay, are you reducing staffing? First, what is the staffing level of the jail? What is the staffing level of, the dispatch at the Bossier City Police Department? And are you reducing that staffing level or not?
Okay.
And
now, before you continue on with that, so give me a second. Let me pop up the screenshot here of the anonymous email that we got. Let me double check, make sure that I don't have any identifying information in there. Okay, no, because even the initials in this are not the real initials of the person. So here is the actual email that we got from our Proton Mail. And it says, why is the interim chief of police eliminating 2 positions? This is that email you were referring to a minute ago. one jailer and one dispatcher so he can get a secretary. He has not been named chief. What councilman besides Smith and Hammond support such a wasteful move? It screams arrogance and selfishness. The previous chief got rid of the secretary to the chief to gain 2 more police officers. Why are we going backwards? Mr. Mayor, your experiment with the police department is an utter failure. Your guy is weak and inept. I have been there over 18 years. Worst administration ever. Now, that was sent to Proton Mail, but trust me, there's no identifying information in there other than this person has an Android phone, apparently. Those initials are not the real person. So that leads us into you getting the information from the source. Let's put it that way, right?
Yeah. So I shot an email off to the chief of police, and I wanted to confirm, okay, what is this business about you're reducing? Because look, I mean, when I was a fireman, and I, was a reserve officer in Bossier City for a while, so I got a little bit of knowledge about how things work down there. And in fact, in Bossier City, in the time that I was there, we had a dispatch, and you actually, the line fireman, before you could make an officer, when you worked from driver to officer, you had to do, work up through the alarm room and work dispatch. And there was only 2 of us there, and it was all hours of the night. And I can tell you, just at the fire department, 2 people, you can't handle it. I mean, I can remember in some events when the phone would just, it was so many calls coming in at one time, the phone was just humming, like it wasn't ringing. It was just like a constant charge of electricity, nonstop buzzing, and you couldn't answer all the calls. Most of the time it was because of the same event. But fast forward from those days to now, there's a lot more activity in Bossier. There's a lot more calls. Things are a lot more refined. But the email, I emailed him and I got a phone call. And we proceeded to have dialogue, and I asked him my questions. I said, okay, here's the thing I want to know. Are you, in fact, reducing the number of dispatchers and or jailers? And he said no. Here's the deal. So in the past, the police department dispatch worked in 2 shifts. Today, they work in 3 shifts. Before it was 12-hour shifts, so you only had two shifts. Today, you've got 3 shifts. And on their 3 shifts today, he informed me that day shift, you have 7 dispatchers. Night, evening, you have 5. And night, you have 5. Well, they are budgeted for more people than that, but they never ran more people than that. And I can tell you that I know dispatchers from the past who have worked over there, and I understand the numbers. You need 5 people, and here's at a minimum you need 5 people. Now the minimum staffing number, and we're just talking about dispatch right now. The minimum staffing number is on paper 3, but you really, and that's 3 bodies there working at one time. That's not the 5 people per shift, but you need 5 people per shift. And here's the thing. So imagine you've got somebody working a call. They're taking a call to the dispatch saying, hey, we've got an armed robbery in progress, what have you. And if anybody's ever had to deal with the police department, you would know at the same time that they're taking that call, another dispatcher is at the same time hearing what's going on, deriving the location, and are sending the information to an officer to respond or to take what action or to do. And then you have a third one at the same time that if by chance the phone was to ring on another call or from somebody else reporting the incident that's going on, or is looking up information like running a license plate or doing this or doing that, you can tie up 3 people at the snap of a finger. Just so fast, it'll make your head spin. So at a minimum, you got to have 3. And that's assuming there's not another call come in. But you say then, well, that 3 is a lot different than 5. Well, you can't expect these people to work all the freaking time. somebody's got to take off. And then, oh, for vacation or time off, oh, by the way, what happens when they get sick?
Yeah,
You
it
know,
happens.
you got to have a couple of more bodies to be able to back up and to maintain that number of three. So that's why you've got at a minimum five, five, and five. As for the seven on the day, I can't talk about that. But what I will tell you is that according to him, those numbers are not going to change. So let's jump over to the jail.
Hmm.
So in talking about the jail, according to him, the jail is budgeted for 21 people. He says currently that they have 15 people currently at the jail. The historical highest number, if I understood him correctly, that they've had over there as far as staffing was 17 people at any one time. Or not at any one time. That's correct. But 17 folks. So if you're budgeted for 21, the most you've ever had is 17. And if you're going to get rid of one dispatcher and you're going to get one dispatcher position and you're going to get rid of one jailer position that you don't have a body already filling, how is it that you're cutting services? I don't know that you are. And to the point of, the former police chief got rid of the secretary to be able to add two officers on the street. I don't know about that one. Maybe so, maybe not. I mean, I would not going to go back in time on that one and say whether that's accurate or not, because it just over the span of the career of some people, the politics in Bossier City can change on a dime. I don't know that you can compare apples to oranges on this thing.
Well,
That
let
makes
me
sense.
ask. Yeah, it does. Let me throw out a couple of questions. And I'm getting an education tonight, so on how some of this works, some of the the behind the doors stuff or whatever, behind the scenes stuff. But so if they budgeted for whatever the number was, I forgot that you said at the jail, but they only have 15 and had a maximum of 17. Is there a particular reason for the gap? So if let's say they budgeted for 25, I'm just pulling that number out, but they've only got 15. Well, why don't they have 25 if they got it in the budget? Is it because of hiring issues or COVID or?
Well, just like the people on the bridge in Benton, and somebody had made on the Benton Town happenings. I shared a post this morning. I went by the bridge location, took a picture. I counted approximately 10 people actually working at 7:30 this morning. Some people different commented. One person said, be glad, you're lucky that you got people working. Um, Everybody has problems getting employees. I mean, it is a problem right now. And if you've never worked in a jail, I'm going to tell you that is the most thankless job that there is. I mean, I, I, I can't enunciate how thankless that is. I mean, imagine going to a place where you have to tolerate people who have nothing to lose that call you every conceivable name in the book, that you can possibly dream of, and you have to stand there and tolerate it for
Yeah, I can only
hours,
imagine.
hours on end, and there's not a lot you can do. Let me give you an example. There was a time as a paramedic where I did a medical call in a jail, and I'm going to give it a little bit away. So I go to the cell blocks, and you have to do medicine call where you got specific inmates that have medicines, right?
Hmm.
And Cecil Campbell, you're incoming here. If you by chance were watching, you will remember this. So I'm going around doing medicine call, and I'm taking the inmates to the cells, the medicine that they have. Well, this one inmate comes up to the cell door, and he's like, "Hey, I want my medicine." And I was like, "Sorry, bud, you're out. You done took the whole thing. You ain't got no more." And he proceeds to, well, I'm 5'5". By his judgment, I was short. And
Right.
I wasn't wearing a hat. And by his observation, I was bald.
Mm-hmm.
And the other expletives that he threw in after the "you short, bald headed
Blankety blank.
whatever,
Right.
blankety blank. And then he proceeded to show me his physical strength by kicking on the door.
Oh.
The failure in his thought process was to realize that that particular cell block just happened to be above Cecil Campbell's courtroom.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
So he disrupted the court, and Cecil Campbell ordered, the bailiff to go upstairs, secure all the prisoners that were in there causing that disruption, and bring them down to the courtroom. And
Uh-oh.
as the
Down to the
and as
principal or to the judge's office.
and as the story goes, he added like 30 days onto all of them sentences as a result of that. Is the way I understand it.
Hey, pause right there for a second. So I want to put a comment up. This is from a good friend, Carrie Siska. Carrie says, I think when Pam retired, he never filled the position, or maybe no one wanted to be his secretary. And go ahead. And then I've got some information that just came in by text message that I need to share.
Now, I would ask Carrie, I may be mistaken, but I think not Pam Patton, Pam Peterson. I can't remember the name. Now, she was a dispatcher, but she she held a spot in the dispatcher position. I think she was like the head person of that department. They made another person the head of the department, but they didn't actually hold the role as one of the quote unquote 5 dispatchers on the shift, if I remember correctly. I may be wrong on that.
All right, so I want to circle back around to the MPC for just a second, and then we'll move back here. So I just got this text message and can't say who it's from, but the message says, a business can pay a fee to the MPC for a special call meeting with MPC and the city council. Surge failed to apply for their conditional use of alcohol in a timely manner. Therefore, they're having to have the special call meeting. And, oh, by the way, in case we didn't know it, the city is nothing but the buddy system. So, anonymous message sender, I appreciate that message. I did not know that they could pay a special fee to have a special meeting.
Well, I'm wondering, did they pay for the special meeting?
Well, now I want to know how much the fee was.
Yeah, I want to know that as well too.
Interesting. So we'll have to dig into that a little bit. Okay, so circling back around.
Well, yeah. So you know what? To the thing here of moving this stuff around, if the money is already budgeted in there, and the next question to the folks that would be throwing rocks at this, my next question would be, if the former chief moved, got rid of his secretary to, add additional patrolmen, or, is there going to be any patrolmen being lost as a result of making this change? If there is, then I would say absolutely not. We can't do this.
Right.
But that wouldn't be appropriate at all. But I don't know that that's the case. But that kind of got me to a thought thinking about this thing today, from one chief that got rid of a secretary to a chief that's requesting a secretary, and who's right, who's wrong. I don't know. I mean, what the chief today, Chief Estes, was articulating to me is, he said, here's the thing for me. He's like, I'm hands-on, and he articulated some events that he's out in the field doing things and being at. And, I get that. That's great, because I can tell you as a fireman, the one thing that we always wanted or dreamed of as a on the line guy, you would say, you always want a fireman's fire chief and a policeman's police chief, somebody who gets down in the weeds, who you could see on a call, who will be out there. It's what you always ask for. It's what you always want. I mean, I wasn't a true cop in that extent. A reserve is hardly one of those guys. I mean, those guys deserve way too much credit for doing what they do. They deserve all they can get. But I would appreciate having a police chief who would actually come out and ride patrol, or who would work assignments or do that. If that in fact is the case, that what he was basically articulating is, I'm trying to go and do those types of things, and he's doing those things, and if by him doing those, that things may or may not be falling through the cracks because he doesn't have a secretary, or he may respond late to an email, or late because getting a letter ginned out, or whatever, some office administrative duty, maybe he needs a secretary. And if he doesn't need a secretary, then why does the fire chief need a secretary? I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
Chief,
look, I don't
you
have
telling
any.
me Chief Zagoni can't make his own email?
Well, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't have any issue with the police chief or the fire chief having a secretary to handle, those administrative type things that, are just, I hate to say it, they're necessary, but they're time wasters sometimes for the stuff that really needs to get done. So I don't really have a problem with that, especially not if, as you've indicated based on your discussion with Estes, that it's not like he fired two people to bring in a secretary.
Yeah, to me, and I may be missing something, and I may be wrong, but to me, this is a no-brainer, because if you've got positions that haven't been filled, and 9 times out of 10 are not going to be filled, they're budgeted, but nothing's going to happen, and you're wanting to create a secretary to the chief, and in the words of my wife that just put up there in that comment, which is a great uh, post, she says, police chiefs should have a personal secretary. I don't want him spending time on clerical duties. He needs to be chiefing.
Yeah, perfectly agree.
Look,
Perfectly. Yeah.
your men would appreciate having a chief who's right there with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I could have appreciated that. I mean, JT Wallace, I'll give you an example. JT Wallace. I can remember, and I might have told this story before, I can remember making an EMS call out in Carriage Oaks, and it was it wasn't an infant. It may have been a small child that got hit by a car. And anyway, we had to do, it was out there actually on the street where you live.
Yeah.
It was
I was going to
actually,
say, it's got to be pretty close.
I don't mean to dox you, but it was on your street, as a matter of fact.
It's easy to figure out where I live. It's Hickory Ridge.
Anyway,
So,
yeah. Well, so it was me and Fred Weaver, and this kid was coded as a result of this, and we're having to do CPR, and Fred, and I'll never forget it, JT shows up. He's the fire chief. He shows up, and he's right there, and it was just me and Fred. I don't know where the fire chief was. They was probably doing some training, something or whatever, but we're there by ourselves. JT shows up, and he jumps in and's helping us out. And I'll never forget it, because Fred's starting an interosseous needle going through the bone and, the tibia there.
ouch.
On the kid's leg. And it's just one of those things. But the interosseous needle, when it broke through the first layer of the bone, it frees up. It went through the bone on the other side. Well, he had his hand on the back side. Well, the needle goes completely through the leg into his palm on the other side.
Ouch.
And me and the joke, you would know this, but a lot of firemen that are watching, y'all will appreciate this. Well, they used to call, anyway, Stupid Fred. Well, JT coined that, Stupid Fred, because Stupid Fred ran the interosseous needle through the kid's leg into the palm of his hand. He didn't do it intentionally. It was an accident, but that was a fireman's chief that showed up on the scene and actually pitched in. And you don't have a lot of those guys. A lot of them are scared. They come up through the ranks. They don't have the training and the backbone to do it, but when you've got those that do, to the men on the streets, that means something.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah. We can all appreciate that. So, to sum this up, it seems that, and we've talked about this before, that, there are definitely still two factions. And one side obviously doesn't support Chris Estes, and the other side does, and both of them tend to be a little vocal. And So, sometimes it's better just to go directly to the source and get that side of it as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. And the only other thing that really was of significance that took place at the council meeting today was at the council meeting, Clinton Patrick with Manshak made a pretty astonishing comment that I don't know if you can cue it up and play it.
Yeah, let me see if I can get it here. Let's see. Give me just a second. Let me get us flipped over to.
Hey, it was no story, David Womack. It actually happened. It's one of those things that, oh, you graduated with Fred Weaver. That's how you would know.
Yeah.
Hey,
all right. So
Fred Weaver was one of the best paramedics that come through Bossier City, and the citizens of Bossier were lucky to have been able to have his services over those years. I mean, he was a good guy. He knew his stuff. He really did.
all right. So I've got us queued up. We're looking for the 2909 mark. So let me hit play. Let's make sure we got system audio going, and we'll see what happens here. Uh-oh. Why don't we have system audio?
I don't know.
Well, that's not nice. Hold on a second. Let me see here. I may have to scramble here. We don't have system audio. But anyway, tell us.
Well, that's okay. Well, Clinton Patrick, I don't know, maybe Ruttenbuck was giving it a break or something. I don't know. But Ruttenbuck didn't give it. But this cat, Clinton Patrick with Manshak, he's going to get up there and he's going to give the construction update, right? So he gets up there and he starts talking about Walter O. Bigby. And he starts talking about reporting how the project is 6 days behind.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I remember in a previous show, you and they gave some report and the numbers were kind of off a little bit. I don't even remember exactly what they were, but it wasn't no big deal. But he was reporting they were 6 days off.
Mm-hmm.
But he was talking about the progress on the project and talking about how they brought in, this big, huge crane that might be the biggest crane you've ever seen in Bossier ever historically. Right. Yeah, so that's progress. But I think it was the 3403 mark. He made a comment, said something about some more progress. He said the contractor has started work on the Shed Road roundabout.
Wait a minute.
Now,
started work on the roundabout.
That's what he said.
Well,
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only place that they could be putting that roundabout would be kind of where the original roundabout that was some kind of controversy. Is that the same roundabout?
Well, if you recall correctly, there was this big hubbub with this little old railroad called Union Pacific about how they can't have a roundabout next to their railroad, and that the city agreed or supposedly agreed or something to that effect about redesigning and doing away with the roundabout. Yet you had Clinton Patrick jump up there today and say the contractor has started building the roundabout on Shed Road.
Well, that's interesting. Let's kind of talk about it for a second. Let me see if I can get the system audio going, because this is interesting. So, as I remember correctly, we couldn't have that extra roundabout. And of course, there was all the argument about how effective the roundabouts are, and oh my goodness, what are the trucks going to do going around? And I still can't get system audio in the software. So.
Yeah, well, we got that late. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but you're telling me that they're going to put the roundabout there? He let it slip?
He let it slip. He said it. He said they've started building the roundabout.
Wow. If they add that roundabout after they use that as an excuse for, cutting off Shed Road, they'll never live that down. I will build a special video with sound bites from all of that just to prove that point, just to harass the city council.
Well, nobody in Bossier City, no councilman, the mayor, nobody, ask them all to talk about, the Shed Road crossing in Union Pacific. They won't talk about it. It's like, you're going to tell them where the Ark of the Covenant is. I mean,
Oh man, that's amazing how well, I don't know. I guess it's amazing how things go and how things
so
get twisted around.
oh, things get twisted, I mean, and you really don't know how twisted they get until you get up here around Benton, and especially this daggum lake up here, or these lakes called Cypress Black Bayou. I mean, that is some janky, twisted up crap.
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah. I'm trying to pull up a map. Let me throw a couple of comments out. So, David Bond says the roundabout on Texas is useless since they closed Shed Road, is it not? Kaylee Larkin says, talk about frivolous government spending. And Brandy says, Bossier drivers aren't roundabout savvy. Laugh out loud. So, I just want to show something to folks, though. So, give me just a second. I'm trying to pull up this Google map here.
Well, you got me wondering, folks, because I don't know where he's going here with what he's fixing to show. There ain't no telling what he's going to pull up.
Yeah, let me see. I may have talked about this before on the show. And look, I'm not that big of a fan of roundabouts. The roundabout over there at Bass Pro, I'm not a huge fan of that particular one. But
was this something of the episode from the Roundabout Morons?
basically, yeah. But I do want to show you, so I'm going to zoom in on this Google map right here. And this is Highway 79 going into Homer and the little travel plaza. And lo and behold, when I switch us over to satellite view, look at that. Look at that roundabout. And even better, in the Google Sat view, there's an 18-wheeler going, well, he's just kind of going to the right of that roundabout. But look, there's another one going over there. I've actually gone through that roundabout with 18-wheelers taking the bypass around Homer or getting on Highway 9.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, if you are right there on the ground and you're looking at that roundabout there in the middle, I mean, I got to tell you, I mean, it looks like a burnout strip at a drag track.
This
I mean,
one?
yeah.
That's in the satellite picture, but I mean, I've been through there not too long ago. It's really not that bad. It's not a big deal for them.
Nah, it's not bad. No.
Now, it is a large roundabout, so I don't know, the diameter of that one versus the one that they weren't going to build because they couldn't because the railroad told them no. But now apparently they're building it. Yes, David, that is the Hill Farm Research Station, David. Yes.
I got to tell you, you know me, Black Helicopters, when I heard him say that today, it made me think, well, I wonder if these Bossier City folks don't have something up their sleeve. Maybe Shed Road isn't actually going to get closed down.
What?
I'm thinking. Look, I'm probably wrong, but I'm thinking outside the box. I mean, clearly Union Pacific said no roundabouts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this guy just articulated today, it's on video, that they're starting to build a roundabout. So if Union Pacific can't do it, I mean, I'm wondering, maybe has there been a fast one? Maybe that would explain why our councilman and the mayor, nobody will talk about, the Shed Road crossing.
I
Okay.
I don't know what to say except something very mean, and I have apparently forgotten my new spirit of niceness and kindness for 2022. So I'm trying to remember that.
Enough of Bossier City. Let's go back to the greener pastures.
Uh-oh. Let me scan to the notes. Let's see what we're. Where are we going with this one?
All the way to the end. All the way to the end, and we're wrapping it up here, folks. And this one here, keep going.
Well, are we talking about video, or are we talking about?
Oh yeah, video. Are we not going there tonight or not? Are we changed on that one?
Well, no, we hadn't changed on it. Just the video's not ready yet.
Oh,
I've got to finish the edits on the video. So did I promise to show that on the show tonight? If I did, shame on me.
I'm totally, because I was totally leaning on you to go with that here right now at this point. So,
well, we're basically at an hour and 49 minutes anyway. So
future mayor. Jeremy Goldman says, heck yeah, go there. Brandy says, go, go, go. The challenge is I can't go yet because, like a lot of projects I'm working on, I don't have this particular video finished, but I'll just tease it out there. After careful consultation and consideration with some legal resources and reading the U.S. Constitution, particularly the First Amendment, we've decided that a video is going to get finished and put out there. That it is in the interest of public knowledge, and that it needs to be out there. It needs to be reported on, and so yes, I will have that one finished for next Tuesday night.
Well, you know, we are supposed to do a show Thursday night, and we're supposed to have a guest who is a candidate for mayor of Shreveport.
Oh,
You realize that, right?
that's right. Who is coming on? Talaferro?
Yeah, Jim Talaferro. So
Yeah.
maybe, in addition to interviewing Jim Talaferro, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to push you, but, you know, maybe we run out there with this.
I can probably make that happen. I'm going to be kind of mechanicking for a couple of days and some other projects, but I do have one of my boys is helping me on the mechanics side. So, yeah, I'll see if I can push and get that video done, and we'll release that Thursday night.
Yeah, and you said it well, but like just adding on to what you said, you know, there is with this video there is legal consequences, and like you said, the Constitution, we may just have to go ahead and try to exercise it, and let's see who wins, the Constitution or the God Network.
Yeah. Yeah. Who is going to
Either
prevail?
Either the Constitution or the God Network, one of the two.
Yeah, that's a good way to frame that. Okay. What else do we have to talk about tonight?
Well, that's it. Since we're not going there, I was all ginned up to go there already, but I'm with you. We can wait. You know.
Well, and I might could have pushed and got it finished today, but I didn't pay attention to the very end of the notes. Oops. So it's not ready. It's still in rough form. Not too rough, actually. I've just got to get some edits done.
Yeah. So if anybody invites you to any event with the Easter Bunny in Baton Rouge at the Capitol, I would highly recommend you stay away from there.
At least stay away from the ones with John Bell Edwards. Maybe if there's an Easter Bunny photo opportunity with, I don't know, maybe Danny McCormick. You know, one of those guys, the good guys. That opportunity would be fine. But
Hey,
John Bell,
did I-
not so much.
Yeah. Did I tell you that I did get the opportunity to meet the future mayor of Bossier City?
Oh, tell me about this.
Well, I mean, you know me. Remember, I mean, the unchristian person that I am, I did go to church on Sunday, and actually, the future mayor of Bossier came up and introduced himself to me and shook
Was
my
he
hand.
was he shaking babies and kissing hands?
Oh my gosh, he had the whole auditorium eating out of his hand. I mean,
Well, you know, all three of us do have something. Well, actually, we have a couple of things in common. One of them is the three of us like to fish, and the other one is the three of us are vertically challenged. All three of us.
well, you know, actually, the truth of the matter is we're just normal. You
Oh.
do know that, right?
Everybody else is too tall. Is that the way it
Well,
works?
it is okay. So here it is. It is a scientific, proven fact that you know if you're between 5'5" and 5'7", you're normal.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no
if
idea.
if you are over 5'7", like between 5'7" and 6 foot, you know you are by definition a freak.
I would say there are people that you and I fall in that definition of normal by height, but I would say there are plenty
Okay,
of people
well-
who would argue that point. We are not normal.
Well, wait a minute. Well, wait a minute. But you got to understand the people that are just over 6 foot and that are freaks. You know that doesn't mean that they're bad people. I mean, because there's another level.
Oh, okay. It's all relative.
When you no when you get over 6 foot, like when you get to 6'2" and above, they're classified as super freaks.
Somewhere I hear Was it an 80s song? Was that in the 80s?
It was in a book. I read it, and it was not at Houghton High School. But they said that here's the thing: back in the 1800s, the average height of everybody was like between 5'2" and 5'5". That was the normal height then.
Right.
And so, what has changed since then to now? Well, it's the impurities in the food.
Monsanto.
So, yeah. So now the average height is a lot taller.
It's
it's because of the impurity. It's changing the genes. So that's why we got all these freaks and super freaks running around here.
And for the ladies watching, hold your ears for just a second. But the same thing's happening in Japan. It is a little bit of the height issue, but it's women's breast size in Japan. This is a real thing. Like bra companies have had to completely redo because they eat so much Western food. I don't know. So yeah, very interesting. Hey, there is, as we wrap it up, there is a good show to watch. Is it called Giant Hunters or whatever? But these two guys, like on Discovery or History Channel or whatever, and they go through these archives and all these things, literally trying to prove that 1,000 years ago or less, that the average height, that there were giants that walked among us. People that were like 8 foot tall was relatively common. So like the whole Samson and Goliath thing and all of that may be actually well based in fact. So anyway, just a little interesting tidbit as we're wrapping up the show.
Well, that would sure enough throw a kink into the freak super freak, theory.
Yeah. So.
But I read it in a book. It wasn't on Facebook, so it's got to be true.
Oh, got to be true if it was in a book. Was it the National Enquirer? But
yeah, hey, I don't know. I'm
the
wondering,
Enquirer's...
David Womack, exactly how tall are you, by the way?
Yeah, which category did you just put David Womack in? David Womack says Goliath. He's a freak Goliath.
And Jeremy, future mayor, there is some movement on the First Church stuff. And yes, actually, we got a notification today on something moving in that regard, and hope to be doing some reporting on that maybe in the next couple of shows. Probably not Thursday, maybe next Tuesday we may have something on that front.
Very, very interesting. Never a dull moment. All right. As David Womack continues to shrink, he said he used to be 6'2". He says now he's 6 foot, just losing height all the time. We're running out of time and content, more importantly. Anything else you want to pitch out there, Mr. Lowry?
Well, see, David, while you're going the other direction, I'm going the other way, because you go and get these discs replaced, they actually raising you up. So, like, since I've had my surgery, I'm walking tall now, baby.
Oh, wow.
I got me an inch at least, I think.
Speaking of walking tall, we need to make sure we got our boots on or hip waders with that statement. All right. Let's wrap it up. Folks, we appreciate y'all watching. Of course, we're still at 60 people, and we've been rambling for the last 10 minutes. At an hour and 57 minutes, that's awesome. Tag, let everybody know, hey, come check this out. We're here. I think we've been here pretty much every Tuesday. Let's see. Did we miss? No, I don't think we missed one. Not a.
We did. Well, we did miss one. We changed it to a Thursday.
Oh, we did change it to a Thursday. So at show 90, almost 100 shows, we've only missed one Tuesday so far. So again, we appreciate all y'all. We will see you next Tuesday. Y'all tune in Thursday night because we will reveal the video, and we're going to have an interview with Jim Talaferro, who is running for Shreveport mayor, and we'll have a little chat with him. How about that?
Hey, and the shows coming up after that, we have got some statewide elected officials, and we've got some federal elected officials that are going to be coming on the show doing some interviews with us and just kind of talking about their future. So y'all definitely, in the next few shows, you want to tune in.
Sounds like a plan. We will see y'all later, folks. Have a good evening.
Good night.